There has been some moments and some time periods that really defeated us. And you kick yourself and you bang your head against the wall and say, okay, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to move forward. In 2015, our MRR was $30,000. In 2023, our ARR was $672,000. This year, our annual recurring revenue is going to be $2.2 million. So the turning point has really been, I think,
Today on the show, we have Fusun and Merjan Bubernack from ET&T, a business phone and IT service provider based out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Fusun is president of the company, and Merjan is their director of customer success. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rob. Nice seeing you.
Same. Let's kick off the discussion here. I just want to start with, what's been your biggest success so far in your business?
We have longevity. We started in 1968. It's right now it's a second generation family business. Third generation is being groomed.
That's me.
And we have started predominantly as a voice company offering PBXs, structured cabling. And in 2011, we decided, okay, voice and data are converging. It makes sense for us to start an IT department. With knowing nothing about IT, we kind of started from scratch. And in 2015, our MRR was $30,000. And 2016, we came across Robin Robbins' TMT, Technology Marketing Toolkit, and we were invited to the boot camp. And, attending the boot camp, it was kind of a no-brainer. We signed up on the spot and became a student of education, learning IT, learning how to sell, learning how to market. And our obviously the results show. In 2023, our ARR was $672,000 with $350,000 in projects. This year, we are geared, and we applied what we have learned to voice end of our business as well. There is recurring revenue on the voice end. Across the board, this year, we will be, our annual recurring revenue is going to be $2.2 million. So the turning point has really been, I think, us attending that boot camp and learning from you guys from Technology Marketing Toolkit.
That's great. So in that journey, and well, as soon as you said, I think 1968, it makes me have to ask this question. So, I mean, how does that? What's that origin story? You start off in phones. Just how did you enter into the whole story?
So actually, in 1968, it started as paging systems. Phone systems weren't even, a thing back then. And then it kind of evolved into phone systems. We became a Mitel partner right around when Mitel started selling phone systems in the 1970s. And so we were one of the first dealers of Mitel. In 1979, we sold the first Mitel system in eastern Pennsylvania. And so this was the first generation of ET&T. In year 2000, the second generation, we have decided that, first generation was retiring, and we have decided to purchase the company and I highlight the purchase. So it wasn't, well, here it is. It's yours. Do whatever the hell you want to do with it. So it was a purchase. And you know the backstory, Rob, and we have gone through some difficult times. In the upcoming after 2000, there has been some moments and some time periods that really defeated us. And but you know, you kick yourself and you bang your head against the wall and say, "Okay, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to move forward." So that was 2000. There was a lot of you know, it was a company that was in financial struggles. So that was goal number one. Let's dig ourselves from this hole and, you know, get some healthy financials going. And at that time, the you know, company had maybe, I don't know, 15 employees or so. No culture. You know, everybody kind of fend for themselves. A lot of backstabbing and gossips and innuendos, and you know that needed to be cleaned up. So it was a long journey, you know, before I could pay attention to anything else. That one in itself, you know, hiring. We made some hiring mistakes, and we had some employee churns. From that original 15 employees back in 2000, 2 of them survived and are still with me, still with the company. So I'm sure Merjan has a different origination story. So
my origin started under the desk doing homework after school under their desks while mom and dad here ran the place.
Yeah, that's a little different. Yeah, because neither of you were there running the place in 1968. So yeah, did that birth a love of IT and customer satisfaction and service, like from drawn under the desk? What drew you into where you are in the company?
Yeah, I think mom and dad running the place and having exposure to it my entire life. Pretty obvious that I was going to go into sales from the moment I was born, I think.
Wait, was that obvious from their end or from your end?
Verdict's still out on that.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But they encouraged me from the beginning. They said, go off and explore your own life and opportunities and professional endeavors, in which I did. I went to school and worked in Fortune 100 companies for 8 years after graduating from college. So I saw what sales is like at these massive companies and selling something that has value, but to massive enterprises where they're also just selling a widget. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. But about 2 years ago is when I decided, you know what, working for the man, if it's not going to be my man, then I might as well go home and work for dad and mom. So that's what I did. I joined ET&T about a year ago, stepped into sales and both doing the sales and working on some of the operations. That's what my story is. I think while the title says one thing, when you're running a family business, a small, medium MSP, you might be sales in your title, but you're doing everything.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's wearing a lot of hats for sure. I just think it's really interesting because on the one end, the whole thread of family through your story is, you know, it's third generation now coming in, but that transition was kind of rocky. It wasn't like one thought of maybe somebody says, "Oh, a family thing," you hand it off, and so. But then on the other side of the story, now you have this other version of family coming in. I think I've done a number of these interviews with different people who have varying relationships with family. So it looks like the future, though, it looks like it's going to, you know, maybe hopefully be a smoother transition than the past.
They promised me. There's nothing in writing yet. So
yeah, I think they just say that to, you know, keep you selling. I mean, that's yeah, like this is all going to be great. Don't worry about it. Just you go out there and sell.
There's a little bit of anecdote that I want to share. You know, after they graduated, we always, you know, ask them, this is here, this business here, you know, this could be yours for you to run. But no pressure. If you want to go do something else, go do something else. And the response, I have 2 daughters, from both of them were, you want to have nothing to do with it. Okay? Yep. You do whatever you need to. Until about a year and a half ago and 2 years ago, and she was in San Diego, and I got a phone call from her on a Sunday, and she said, I'm coming to work for you. I'm like, did something like drop on your head? What the heck happened? All of a sudden, she had a mind shift.
You know what it was? It was a 5-day silent meditation retreat. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, really? That's kind of cool. That's cool. It didn't exactly drop on your head, but it was an enlightened moment. I
got space to clear out all the junk that was happening in the head, and this came up.
Oh, that's actually, really cool. And did you say, I don't know, we're going to have to run you through our internal hiring process. We're going to test your company culture. And
sorry.
Yeah, we're going to do references.
That ship has sailed. Well, thankfully that wasn't the answer. Hey, you guys, just a little off on this for a second, because you mentioned that over time, you had to build a company culture that only a couple of people are still around from them, but at least there are a couple. What do you do now to try to ensure there's good company culture? Does it start in the hiring? Just any way you'd want to speak to that? Because I know people who are growing their business right now, so some of the audience here, they may just be 1 or 2 people, and they haven't really had to approach necessarily that issue.
Right. Well, culture starts from hiring. And when we hire somebody, I do 15-minute video. And I'm not asking technical questions, and I'm not asking job-related questions. I'm just kind of who you are, figuring out, who this person is. First of all, if they can't smile, they're out.
Yeah.
It
doesn't fit.
They can't Debbie Downer. They have to be a happy, motivated person, and that's what I'm looking for. So culture starts right there, and then if they pass my interview, then I'll pass it on to Merjan and the team, the service managers, and they'll do a technical interview to understand, if they really have the goods to be able to do this job.
It's not easy, and I don't think we found the silver bullet, but to keep that alive then after they've been hired, it's training and team meetings and quarterly all hands meetings where we're sharing the numbers. Hey, we set these goals for the years. Here's where we're at, and here's what your work is contributing to, and here's the things we're working on. She's a little bit of a bully, I think, but she goes around and says, hey, what's the feedback? Give me answers. Like, what should we be working on? What do you want to see more of? And if the person is quiet, she forces an answer out of them. So
would you like to, you have 30 seconds to respond to the allegations of bullying. If you like.
A loving bully.
Oh, she said a little bit of a bully.
And we still make hiring mistakes. It's there's no magic in hiring. When you think you hired the wrong person and find out that they're not. So
I've heard a number of times that that whole piece. I think sometimes people just go for the skill set. And if you miss the whole personality piece, then it's kind of a crapshoot. Maybe you'll get lucky and they have that other piece, but it seems like if you got the right personality and the right kind of core, you can train them on other things.
Have the right attitude, and I can, I can't change somebody's, what's their brain, what they're made out of.
Yeah, I
can teach them, what they don't know. But, this is, personality is not something that I can teach. I mean, I was interviewing somebody the other day, and Merjan comes in and looks at the, resume. I wrote, this is an angry man on it. He was angry.
Needless to say, he didn't come through the second round.
Really? Shocking.
I think that the IT piece, the technical piece, like you said, that can all be trained to a certain extent. But moreover, more than the fixing computers or servers and networks and whatever, we're a customer service company. 15-minute response guarantee, and we know all of our clients. We pride ourselves on having some clients who have been with us for 20 and 30 years. And the reason they've been with us for that long is because they know us, we know them, we've seen them get married, have children, live their lives. Like, there's more of a relationship to it than just a business exchange. And we need a team that supports that. So they know each other by name, and they know and trust and have built relationships that way.
And we have a CSAT software that we track, and we kind of gamify the whole thing, kind of cultivate the culture, nurture the culture, and across the board, we're probably 99.5% on CSAT scores.
That's fantastic.
And, that comes with how you approach the customer, how you treat the customer. And you have to be a happy person to be able to, even at the moment of, I want to cut my throat.
Oh my God.
You want to make sure that you're pleasant and approachable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because everybody needs somebody to be pleasant and approachable at that moment, especially. I understand what you're saying. And I agree that as far as the exciting nature of IT in the eyes of your customers, which they don't really, ultimately they don't really care that much about IT. They care about their business. They care about the way you make them feel and all. And I think that is a differentiator. So those CSAT scores are tremendous. Hey, let me ask you, because you both had these moments, like inflection points. This would be for each of you. If you kind of go back and tell your younger self something, what would you tell them about this business journey, or a different thing? Like, would you have changed anything, or something that somebody else might want to know if they're in that point now?
Yeah, this morning, as a matter of fact, we were, I was talking to Merjan. This is not an easy job, This is, it requires mental toughness, and she's learning how to be mentally tough, because life is going to throw all kinds of, put your gloves on, and nothing is going to be ever 100%. It's rose petals, and, there's going to be challenges. What would I tell myself? Lessons learned. There's a saying, I never lose. I either win or I learned. I made mistakes. And when the head of the company makes mistakes, they're not small mistakes, they're big mistakes. Yeah. And I have, I look at them as a learning experience. Yeah, did it hurt me? Did it cost me money? Yes, it did. But I learned, and I know now never to do that again. Yeah. I kicked myself and banged my head against the walls, and I said, okay, I'm never doing that again. So that's what I tell my younger self. There's going to be challenges, but think hard and think long and think wide before you make a decision. And if the end result is not still what you expected, pick yourself up and pick yourself up and move on.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Mm-hmm. You answered a little bit for me, but for me, I haven't figured it out yet. I'm only a year in here, but taking the mountain step by step and figuring out maybe where even the steps up the mountain are, like finding a starting place and breaking it down into manageable steps that A, you can see progress, but B, is making a meaningful trek to where we're trying to go. And I guess to that end of having a meaningful goal. If you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. So we spend about a week each year with our executive team figuring out, okay, what do we want the next year to look like? What do we want our revenue goals to be? What other KPIs do we want to track and focus on for the year? So if you don't know where you're going, you can't get there.
Yeah. Do you find that time you spent in the corporate world helped you, or is there anything you brought from that, or intentionally didn't bring from that?
Yeah.
In this focus with small business.
Putting the sales hat on, I'm actually struggling a little bit right now because in corporate, you're given a quota. You're said, here's your $2 million quota for the year, deliver. And I knew exactly what I would get if I beat quota, if I got into accelerators and go to President's Club type of thing. Mm-hmm. In family business, yes, we have quotas, but things change all the time. So where there was a lot more structure in corporate world, I'm learning that there's the advantages and in some cases disadvantages of not having that structure. So I appreciate that we're a lot more lean and mean and can pivot easier in the space that I'm in now.
Rob, I told her if she wants to be in the President's Club, pick your spot wherever you want to go in the world. I'm not go at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just to be clear, I mean, just because you're in a small business doesn't mean you don't have to hit your quota.
That's right.
I mean, all right. Next question. For
the record, we're hitting quota. I just need to know that the trip is at the end of the line. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's great. Yeah. Podcasting rule number 1: be antagonistic towards the guest. That's how you get things done. Well, it sounds like I don't want to cause trouble here, but it sounds like if you hit or exceed that quota, there could be some trip in it. I mean,
I've already got the destination planned. So
okay. All right. Okay. We'll check back in and see how that works out.
By the way, I'm taking the last week of the year off. Thank you.
Okay.
This is great. It's all documented. It's public record now. You're like, okay, don't share this anywhere now. So I've got to ask a question. I was looking through. I mean, for some kind of context, like at Technology Marketing Toolkit, we do different contests. We do this thing called Better Your Best, where people enter their stories and the numbers for the year, and they compete to be spokesperson. And so I was looking through some of your entry, and I just noticed that, and I think you mentioned some of this in terms of increase, but you had a big increase between 2022 and 2023 of the MRR clients, actually onboarding new clients. Can you talk a little, since this is, there's some marketing basis to this also, can you talk a little about some of the strategies you use to accomplish that, to bring that on? Because I think the average MSP is, 12, 15 new customers, 44 is a lot.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Yeah.
Well, we really focused on our marketing, and our marketing over the years has been non-existent. We became serious about it, especially in 2001, 2002, and hired an SDR, dialing 500 phone calls a week. So that's quite a lot of phone calls. And, the results obviously showed that, that works. That kind of marketing works. We were sending some kind of a campaign, marketing campaign, direct mail campaign. And, we had a cadence, mail, phone call, email, phone call, 3 phone calls to each prospect. So, I don't have the statistics, but obviously, it has been a success. And referrals. We have a pretty good following our clients, and reaching out to them and saying, hey, if you know of anybody that might be able to benefit from our products and services, would you share the names with us? So that has, this year we got a really good client, And not only we captured their voice, we captured their IT, and that those clients are growing. Clients that have all their services through us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of hard work and regimented marketing.
It's definitely both an art and a science. If we're making 500 dials a week, statistics should show that, okay, 5 of them should lead to a conversation. 1 of them should lead to a FTA, or 5x that, I guess. But it takes a lot of diligence. We are listening to the recordings of our SDR's calls. We are doing regular coaching. We've churned the SDR role multiple times. So we're constantly kind of trying to aim at a moving target in that sense.
Yeah, I think that's really a very important point. I mean, I think that a lot of companies, especially when they're small, they just think marketing is sort of just a waste of time or an extravagance, let's say, maybe not a waste of time. And then I feel like the next stage for many of them is to say, oh, well, we'll do this. We'll do something and it'll be pretty easy. I know people come to Technology Marketing Toolkit and they think, it's like an easy button somewhere in there. But the reality is, and I think that they're very transparent about that, is it is a lot of hard work. And there is a recipe and a formula to each of these things. And it sounds like, so when I was, full disclosure, I was a customer in the past, and I would do some of that direct mail campaign, but I didn't really have the calling follow-up down. I'd say, I'll make those calls, but I wouldn't really make those calls very, certainly not in the cadence. Nobody was reviewing the calls. So would you say that would you say that you have to do all of that to get the success? Like you
have to do all of it and
then
consistently.
And then some. Consistency.
Robin always says, it's not doing one thing. It's doing all of them in a regimented order. You need to do the drip campaigns, newsletter. We just got our website done through Technology Marketing Toolkit. And we have been live, how many?
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
And we already got 1 lead out of our
That's
website.
great. That's great.
So it's multifaceted from all directions.
Yeah.
And Rob, what you said is so true. Before Robin, we had zero marketing. And we thought, yes, indeed, marketing was a waste of money. Marketing, throwing money out the door. Yeah. Well, because we didn't know how to do it. So now we know how to do it. And we do spend money on marketing, but we get results.
Yeah, you get that return.
Yeah.
I think what might be helpful for people as they're staring down that journey of marketing is you're not doing marketing necessarily for immediate results. You're doing the marketing, you're sending out mailers, making the calls now so that customer a year from now, when they have the need for a new IT person or have a new server project or whatever, you're at the top of their mind because you've hit them a few times. They haven't responded to your cold calls. They haven't responded to your emails because they're not a warm buyer at that point. But maybe eventually they are. Oh, is she hitting her easy button?
Well, there's no easy button.
Oh, was that the easy button?
We did a poker chip campaign, and I was just looking at the pokers. I had some on my desk, but
we sent a little poker chip in an envelope to a bunch of prospects.
Are you
lumpy mail.
Yeah. And we were making, dials, and one guy said, I have the poker chips that you sent me a couple of years ago still on my desk. So it works. It works. And it just kind of resonates, brand recognition. They remember you.
Yeah. I think really, really great points because I think, anything you do, I used to do a lot of networking and all. It's like, and when I first started doing that, I'm like, I'm going to go in a room and I'm going to meet like 3 companies tonight that are going to like sign up tomorrow. And you do realize over time, sometimes you're going to mail the letter, you're going to make the phone call, and you're just going to hit the person right at their moment. Like maybe a second before that, they just wanted to fire their IT company, and they're like, hey, here you are. This is great. But for the most part, that's, I think, why the consistency is so important because it's not that. You want to be around for when that moment occurs. and then you're top of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And who wants to throw out a cool poker chip? I mean,
Really?
it's hard to throw that out. You want,
Take it to Las Vegas, see if they work.
Yeah. Oh, sure. For sure.
All in on red.
Yeah. All in on red. I think you guys will maybe have a good perspective on this. I love asking this question, and the answers range. Let me tell you I won't tell you how they range, but how do you maintain this healthy work-life balance while you're growing your business?
Well,
I'll let her answer first.
Yeah. Let's see.
Rob, when you're running a company, there's no such thing as work and, life. Your life is your work is your life. And they're intertwined and they're all in one. When the kids were little, it was challenging. I'll say I had no life. My life was work. And then after work, taking care of the kids, homeworks and school projects and lunch mother and whatever I needed to do. That was my life. Now they're grown up and they have their own life. And I know maybe she struggles a little bit with work-life balance, but, I put in my 40, 50 hours a week, and weekends are kind of my chill time of my life. And I do work a couple hours over the weekends maybe, but, I spend some time with myself.
Yeah.
Clearing my mind.
Did you, but
I have no complaints. I enjoy doing it.
Sure.
You have to enjoy doing it, or else you'll be looking for, oh my God, where's my life? Let me find my life. This is my life, and I'm happy with it.
I think that's a great distinction. I think a lot of times, it depends on the conversation that people think, well, you have to have the two things this way, and that's what the right life is. But then you hear on the other side, things like if you work at what you love, you never work a day in your life. It's one of those kind of
right.
But it does sound like you found a way in there to to be a mother in the middle of that. Like you're going to be going to thinking about like lunch mother or those kind of things. If it just was 100% work.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, they were work and them equal priority. I never missed a field trip. If they needed help at school, I was there. But juggling that, you got to keep all balls up in the air.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about building teams. I mean, you've built a team so that growing up, she's from Turkey. It was important for us to go to Turkey and see her family for 2 weeks every year.
Yeah.
And that was religious. And everyone on the team knew, okay, if Fusun's going to Turkey for 2 weeks to see her family, we've got the business. Enjoy yourself. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of work to get to that point of building the right team and the right processes to make sure that it won't fall apart for 2 weeks while she's gone.
Yeah.
And how about you? I mean, I just heard that you struggle a little with this.
I struggle a little bit more. I haven't learned how to turn it off yet. And the closest I've gotten is to turn my notifications off after hours.
Okay.
Or I did take a vacation a couple weeks ago, and I turned my notifications off. I said, I'll check in the morning and at night, but during the day, I don't want to see it, which was manageable. But on a day-to-day basis, I need to get into the gym. Like if I'm not at the gym, I will be cranky because that's where I get my boxing gloves out instead of in unhealthier ways in the office.
Literally,
Yeah.
That's it. Sounds like you can have it to some extent, but it's another thing you really have to work at. I mean, it's not just
you need to work at.
You're not going to just.
The number of hours in a day will never change. How you choose to spend them is just what you can control. So being very mindful about that has been my project.
Okay, I want to talk a little about in those years. So you have an interesting scenario because in one way, the company has been around a long time, but I think you said. When we got to the second generation, it was some rocky road financially. So I think maybe in some way that could parallel somebody kind of almost starting out to some extent in terms of financials. So like, how did you, maybe starting through that time, thinking, how did you manage cash flow and also maybe like financial planning as you grow the business? I think a lot of, and just to put it in context, a lot of the smaller MSP owners I've talked to, it's like, the answer is they don't. Like, I think it's like, well, if there's any money in the bank account, well, that means like I'm doing all right. And if there's no money, I better do something else. Do you have any advice to give in that regard?
Well, when we took over in 2000, company had a lot of debt. And we knew it. We knew going into it. But we also knew that it was a well-known company in the community, and it has some strong customer base. It wasn't easy juggling. Number one goal was to pay off every single penny that we owed to whoever we owed to at the time, and getting a healthy assets and liabilities. As we all know, accounting 101, your assets should be higher than your liabilities, not the other way around. And we were the other way around. So, working on that, pay the debt, every penny. And sometimes it required for us not to take any salary. There has been months that we said, okay, we're going to take this money and we're going to pay off the debt that are on the books. And now we look at it on a weekly basis. Okay, we look at our accounts receivable, we look at our accounts payable, 3-to-1 ratio. My accounts receivable should be 3 versus 1 accounns payable. That's going to bring cash flow, obviously. Recurring revenue is a consistent, reliable cash. You're going to get that money. Credit cards or ACHs are going to be hit every first of the month, that you can depend on that money. So, a lot of small businesses neglect their financials. They don't keep an eye on it. Number one, you got to look at them on a weekly basis. Where am I? My spending, my expenses, my turning point, your financials, KPIs, consistent, religious reviewing, inspection.
Yeah.
I think early days, just seeing what she was doing, she'll look at every PO that comes and goes and every check that gets cut and every invoice. Like, if you're in a dire place, you need to inspect every last detail, because it's easy for things to get washed. And even now we'll look at vendor invoices and, okay, why are we being charged for 30 licenses when we're only deploying 20? It's that level of minuscule detail inspection that you need to do to hit those financial goals.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think everybody gets very busy, as we say, just juggling, and we got to do tech, and then we got to do some sales, and so I think that's really good advice to make sure you take that time to really know your numbers. I think that's another thing, is to understand what your key KPIs are, and then to try to analyze them and then make decisions based on it. Would you say that is the follow along to that? Once you're analyzing those numbers, then do those numbers impact the decisions you're making in your planning meetings and all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, if we see something that's off, okay, how do I correct that? What do I need to do to correct that? We'll put that into action then.
Yeah. I think that's key too. I remember at some point in my past, we would have our projections, our revenue projections from a sales standpoint, kind of going on this spreadsheet, and then we'd have like the real life expenses going in this spreadsheet. they didn't mingle all the time, you know what I mean? And then what would happen is we'd be building out what we were going to spend based on these forecasts. And if we started to fall off the forecast, we just kind of kept spending. Because it was like, well, you've got your, forecasting and you've got this thing over here. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I will say last year we upgraded our PSA and our accounting tool for the first time in 25 years. Yeah. And that was
fun.
a Herculean task to unravel 20 years of business systems into something new. But it created a great opportunity for us to go through every business process and every invoicing. How do we do all of these things and rebuild those processes for optimal data reporting and business productivity?
Yeah, that's great. That must have been painful.
Oh my God. Nightmare.
We're still going through it a year and a half into the implementation. It's running, but it now needs to be up leveled.
So the old software CRM that we used, like I said, it was probably 25, 30 years. We used the same, software. And we knew that so well, inside and out. I would call every now and then, maybe call for a tech support, and level guy would answer. I'm like, send me to level 2 because I know more than you do.
For sure. Yeah, I've been in this for decades. Like you just started. Yeah. Yeah. So I've been in this industry long enough that for 2 decades, I've been talking about like a single pane of glass or a way that you can really start to see things. And I think these platforms are definitely maturing to where it may be some pain and suffering to get there, but the reporting you're going to get and potentially across your stack is more intelligent. Are you finding? So it looks like you're finding that to be the benefit on the other side, at least.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the time gained from switching to this new software, massive amount of time that I have nothing to do. Give me some more to do. So. Yeah.
To put it in perspective, we had an accounts receivables person who was manually typing in handwritten notes that our techs were putting on service orders.
Yeah, because it wasn't capable of doing that. So, she is now, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Because it's all automated.
Yeah, it's all automated.
You just gave her some work-life balance. It sounds
like. Absolutely.
No, we just gave her 3 other jobs.
That's right.
More work. Yeah, there you go. There's that next generation coming in. Just like, no, here, take this. That's great. I think that's a good takeaway for people who are in that early stage of their business. Maybe it's really worth them looking into tools like that out of the gate, so they don't get to a point many years later, they just start off, more nimble and more capable.
And it is difficult making that transition. And I was, kind of agonizing over that decision because I knew it was going to be disruption to our business, and it was. But you got to rip the Band-Aid off sometime, just like, let's do it.
So
no time like the present.
That's right.
Yeah. Let me ask one more question here. So what are the long-term goals for the company? What do you have on the horizon there that you're looking?
Well, we hit 6-7 million revenue goal, and I dropped the mic. How's that?
All right. That's it. That's a very.
We're retiring.
That's it.
And I say, I'm out.
Walk away. All right.
And you guys carry the load.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you?
It has been great help having my kids join the business. Great help. And I feel like I'm not the only one that's doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
We collaborate, we have our executive meetings, and we kind of say, okay, you do this, you do that. And so it has been a relief for me. But our goal is to grow. And our goal, or half our revenue coming from MRR and half our revenue coming from project. We still have heavy voice presence.
Yeah.
We do a lot of still hosted and premise-based phone systems. But, this year we're gonna exceed our revenue goal. The goal that we set last year at the end of the year was 4.3 million, and the trajectory is about 4.5 now.
That's great.
So, next year I'm probably going to push 5.2.
Yeah.
Quota just went up.
Yeah. Your quota went up.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. If it can be done, something greater can be done. That's
right.
How it is, right?
Right. So, every year we kind of say, okay, we did this. We're capable of doing this. Let's do some more.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so it sounds like you do have a good base to mine, if you can convert some percentage of those customers into fully managed services and, get them over. I'm sure that's a big push.
So a couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to call my cream of the crop customers, and I'm going to set up an appointment. How many?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 appointments.
Right.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're making the sales job easy.
I'm going to be out of a job here soon.
Yeah. I don't know. So what are your long-term goals if you survive?
If you survive, that's right.
I'm suddenly very nervous about how this is going to go. My long-term goals, going back to some of the things we discussed, is working as much in the business as we are on the business. I think there's two different paths of thinking about the business, and I want to spend more time working on the business and changing some of our processes and up-leveling our service delivery model. So I know I've talked about all of the sales roles, but thinking about the operations as well. There's a few frameworks I'd like to have implemented in the next year.
Great. Well, it looks like you guys are in great shape in terms of that. The fact that you have the ability to transition, that you have this next level leaders. I know a lot of people struggle with that actually as they scale, trying to find their next level leaders. But it's a big challenge. So the fact that you did it in a way that's hard to replicate. You actually, you literally, when you literally created them. I mean, that's one way to go. I don't know what advice we give on that, but do you guys have any final thoughts you'd want to offer to the companies out there that are listening?
Family business. I'll just put 2 final words, I guess. I'm blessed to have have a great relationship with my kids, and not only as a mother and coworkers, I guess. And we have our moments. A couple weeks ago, she was kind of in a negative mood, and I told her, I said, if you can't take the heat, get the hell out of the kitchen.
Wow.
And then I invited her over for dinner that night.
And we had a nice kissed and made up.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but, a lot of people... in Robin's group, in the Technology Marketing Toolkit, I see a lot of family businesses.
Yeah.
A lot of kids coming and following the parents' footsteps. And I love that. It can work. It can work. You can make it work. Without killing each other.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
My final word, and something I've learned a lot of in the last year, is to stay curious. Why are we doing things the way we've been doing them? And can we be up-leveling? Can we be thinking about things differently? Why are customers buying from us? Have we been messaging one way and maybe it's not resonating because they don't think of us that way? So just always be curious. We see the books. We're always reading and learning and thinking about new ways to implement things. So
yeah, that's great that you can bring that kind of fresh perspective to the business.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys
I'm
today.
here, Ross.
Thank
Yes.
you so much for joining us and sharing your experience, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See
in
you
a
out
couple
there.
weeks
Yes.
at the roadshow.
All right.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.